'cause I don't want us to go. No, I don't want us to go. Yeah, you could be my lifeline, you could be my sunshine. In a world so full of pain, can you make it go away? Used to be so sad that love was lost, but now it's here to stay. Yeah, I used to be uncomfortable, but look at me today. Never thought I'd find someone like you, someone to show the way. But now I know you're the answer to my prayer. You and me must be right. Something's in the air, I can feel it now. You and me must do something right. We
where nothing is funnier than the truth. Men are allowed to be men. Sucker MCs get dealt with, and I'm dressed to work out. So I did not dress for the cam per se. I got to get it in early this morning because there's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff going on. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Please share today's show. Our kids are the scariest criminals. Our kids are the scariest criminals. I'll say it again. That is a part of the headline. The Cincinnati Enquirer is doing a series. They're doing a deep dive into kids who kill. That's not provocative. Kids who kill. Unfortunately, this year in Hamilton County, 15 juveniles have been charged with murder, more than were charged in the last 4 years combined. Why the increase? And so they've been doing a series of dives into this issue. Dan Horn is the journalist behind it. They posted this on their website back on December the 15th, which is yesterday at 10:03 p.m. So that's in the evening. And they spoke with a black female police detective from the police department. Her name is Detective Takia Smith. Does anybody know Detective Takia Smith? She works in the violent crimes unit and investigates homicides. And she grew up in English Woods and West Price Hill. Apparently, she's familiar with the neighborhoods where the violence she investigates occurs. She's also the mother of a 14-year-old. And so it's a Q&A style. It's a Q&A style. So he'll ask a question, which is printed in the article, and then you get her response, which is also printed. It's not video or audio, which I'm sure he's probably audio recorded it and then transcribed it later. But she's talking about what we've talked about and what a lot of people are talking about, and that is the uptick in violence from young people. And I've been reading the entire series, because this is a topic that people care about, and we all kind of care about this on some level, whether you've been touched directly by violence or not. And I wanted to see what was going to come out of it. But that was part of the headline. Our kids are the scariest criminals. And that's sad as fuck. That is sad as a mofo. Excuse my language. I know it's early. Excuse my language. That's very sad. Do you agree with that? Our kids are the scariest criminals. That is super scary. That's like Children of the Corn. Anybody seen that? That series is called Children of the Corn. It's about these kids that like turn on all the adults in the town and kill all the adults, right? One by one, they take the adults. And it's like some real scary-ish if you've never seen it before. The first one and second one, I think, were the best, and then they just kind of jumped the shark with it. You know what I'm saying? They just went too far with it. Good morning. Make sure I look presentable on camera. It's always important. Yes, I am. This is workout clothing. I'm dressed to work out shortly after the show. Good morning to you. I got Chairman Mom. See that picture over my left shoulder up on there? That's just Chairman Mom. The wifey made that for me because she cares. Good morning to you. Hope you're all doing well. 513-873-7134 if you would like to transform your brain waves into digital talk radio waves this morning. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Christmas shopping in a tornado. Our kids are the scariest criminals, and terrorists among us. You got terrorists among us. People like Jim Jordan. He's a member of Congress from guess what state? Ohio. And he, in particular, of all the members of Congress, has been very embarrassing in terms of his love affair, his complete devotion, and his willingness to bend logic, time, common sense, lie, whatever he has to do for Trump. He was a big Trump supporter. And I'm not sure what he got out of it, quite honestly. I don't even know what he got out of it. Guess he got reelected, or, he's strong in his district. So that's all that really matters. But you know that right now, over the last few weeks, there's been a lot of information coming out about text messages from Mark Meadows, who was the former chief of staff of Trump. And in particular, what they say about his interactions and other people's interactions with him about January 6th, right? I mean, here we are coming up, January 6th. The anniversary is coming up soon. Next month is less than a month away. And apparently Jim Jordan was texting some some legal advice, some legal theories on how the Trump administration could basically steal the election from Joe Biden. I mean, we are, my friends, we have jumped the shark. We are living in the last days. This is just amazing to me. It is absolutely amazing to me that this happened during our lifetime. Like, these mofos running around here talking about 1776 and the U.S. Constitution and my rights, while trying to steal other people's rights and steal people's voting rights and steal an election right in front of us. And Jim Jordan from Ohio was a part of it. Apparently, he tweeted an article. He tweeted something. Not tweeted. He texted. Again, like I said, a legal theory. Like, hey, like, maybe you can get the vice president to help you steal the election from Joe Biden. I mean, it's just amazing to me. Absolutely amazing. We got to talk about it. 513-873-7134. We got an early call, though. Let's take it. Let's see who's on the line. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nathan Ivey. This is Kelly Prather. How are you?
Hey, Kelly, good morning. I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm blessed and highly favored. I had a little surgical procedure last week, but it turned out for my good. So God is good. Recovering well, and the one thing I always say is that I'm blessed and highly favored. So thank you for asking, and hopefully you had a wonderful Thanksgiving and your Christmas. Hopefully your Christmas. I don't know if you celebrate Christmas, but happy holidays to you and your entire family.
Thank you. Same to you.
You are so welcome. Nathan, I wanted to talk about, you posed the question, are children the most dangerous criminals? You know, I don't know if you knew this, but I'm working on a PhD in public policy, and my dissertation is around the 13th Amendment, removing the exception clause of the 13th Amendment, which says that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude shall be allowed except unless you're duly convicted of a crime. And as it relates to children, there is a huge phenomena. The school to prison pipeline is widely used, but there's also a phenomena called the cradle to prison pipeline. And as it relates to our children, I want people to know that these gateways, children, the cradle to prison pipeline, as well as the school to prison pipeline, are gateways to the prison industrial complex or a lifetime of mental institutionalization. And so there are some children who commit heinous crimes. They commit heinous crimes, and they need either treatment, whether it's mental treatment for a mental illness or mental health disorder. But for the most part, the system puts out that narrative so that we can look at our children in a certain way. Nathan, I don't know if your callers knew this, but the Department of Rehabilitation and Corrections get $21 billion annually for housing juveniles in detention centers. Most of those individuals or most of those babies who are in juvenile detention centers are either Black, brown, or native from a native indigenous community. And so we are disproportionately affected. And like I said, with that 13th Amendment, what happens is you set up the babies, not even the juveniles, the babies, to have all types of be diagnosed with ADHD, ADD, all types of learning disabilities, all types of antisocial personality disorders. They set them up so that they can have excessive absences from school. They have all these doctor's appointments. They have to see this counselor. They have to see that counselor. And then we are also subjected to harsher disciplinary policies in the school system. And so if you're over disciplined in the school system, what happens is you go to 2020, you're detained. And so after being detained, they become psychologically conditioned to the prison system. And so again, I'm not making excuses for children who are wayward, who are just out of control, or those who commit heinous crimes. And honestly, there's certain individuals who have to be in institutions because you can't handle them. But the prison industrial complex is real. They want to continue to frame the narrative about our children more so than other populations, because we tend to get streamlined into the committal routes, while other children get non-committal routes and therapy. We get punishment, and that is just so unjust. And so, when I heard you ask if children are the worst criminals, I just think that we have to, just be careful and look deeper than saying, okay, well, this person did it. Look at the segment of the population that they are labeling as the worst criminals. Look at the data. Look at the fact that in the United States, Nathan, there are 1,722 juvenile detention centers. And if my calculations serve me correctly, I think there's only 1,719 adult prisons throughout the nation. And there's also 109 federal prisons. But children who are put in the system, in juvenile systems, are treated just like adults, treated the exact same way as adults. There's no true rehabilitation. And so we need to look at how we reform our system of government. I mean, particularly, I'm talking about the criminal justice system, but our government is designed to put people back into slavery. And so, again, reflecting back on that exception clause of the 13th Amendment, that was a loophole to put people back into slavery. So it made slavery lawful. And so what they're doing by putting out data, the worst of the worst information about our children, is they're setting them up to be in that system. And so I don't know if you follow me on Facebook, but I've talked a lot about this because it's just, the disparaging numbers are heartbreaking. It's a disparity, but it's a war. It's a war on children, and we need to be careful about how we approach this. But thank you so much for presenting this topic. And I'm going to be listening and sharing all of your podcasts. I know that you have a host of individuals who are presenting, and I really appreciate all that you do, Nathan. So again, you have a happy holiday. Tell your wife I said hello, and I know your children are just so excited because you're going to take good care of them over the holidays. So thank you, Nathan.
All right, thank you, Kelly. Appreciate it. Yeah, we'll go ahead.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kelly. I appreciate it. She's right. I mean, I've been watching this Cincinnati Inquirer series because I wanted to see how they were going to present, this conversation. And there's some things about that that's a little bit troubling with me. I mean, a lot of this latest piece, and again, let me post a link for you so you can check it out for yourself. It's very interesting, the narratives they tell about Black children in particular, but they don't ever use race. So that our kids are the scariest criminals, that's a quote that appears to be attributed to this police detective, Takia Smith, who's a Black female. And again, in no way can I challenge her perspective. That's her perspective. It is what it is. But, my question is on some levels, like, so what do we do with this information? And I don't believe that our kids are the scariest criminals. Like, that's her opinion. That's her viewpoint. She's a police detective. She's on the front line. So that's valid. But from my standpoint, that's dangerous. It's very, very dangerous. And as I read this article, again, there's no talk about race, but, you got a Black police detective who grew up in English Woods and West Price Hill. The perception is you're talking about Black kids. That's what the perception is with this particular article. That's what I got from it. And I don't think that Black kids are the scariest criminals, in my opinions, quite honestly. You got all this wealth in Cincinnati. Cincinnati is a very, very wealthy place. All these neighborhoods, there's a lot of wealth in this city. And yet we still got food deserts. Yeah, we still got, these pockets of poverty. We still got schools that are producing at a level that is completely unacceptable. I would say that the forces, whatever those forces are, and we can talk about it, and it's varied, it's complex. It's not just one place it's coming from. But I would say in sum total, the forces that keep all those things I just talked about in place, that's the scariest criminal, in my opinion. And on some levels, I feel like, are we overreacting here? You got all these teenagers who never commit a crime. You got 15 teenagers over the last year who've been involved. Is it something that should raise eyebrows and people should be focused on? Sure, it should be. But we should be focused on youth and youth development, even if there isn't a crime. Why we got to wait until somebody gets shot for us to ask what's up with the teenagers? Why do we keep doing that over and over again in this city? We do it over and over again. Now I know there's a lot of people that that are involved in youth development, and they're focused on our youth all the time. So maybe this is more about the media. I'm not sure, but I'm like, yo, the issues of teenagers are much deeper than just the latest shooting victim and or perpetrator. It's a lot deeper than that. You know what I'm saying? Have we fully invested in Hamilton County teenagers? Have we fully invested in Hamilton than teenagers that live in Hamilton County? Or have we fully invested to make sure that each and every last one of them have access to the opportunities, at least, that we think they should have? Some tells me no. Some tells me no. Yo, check it. We just went through this whole election cycle. And since I was so deep in it, I feel confident enough to say this, but it was rare for conversations or topics and questions to come up, particularly about teenagers. That was rare. We didn't really grill city council members on that. We just elected a whole new city council and a whole new mayor. We ain't really, our agenda wasn't pro kid, pro teenagers. We didn't really hit them with that. We was asking them a whole bunch of other questions. I posted a link. Hold on, let me post it again so people can check it out. I want you to see this wherever you want. This is to the Cincinnati.com article. And again, shout out to the people involved. I mean, this is what you get from media. I have no issues with my colleagues at Cincinnati Inquirer. I'm just wondering, okay, so what do we do with this? And I just don't like that headline. Our kids are the scariest criminals. To who? I mean, maybe that's to her, to this particular police detective. And it looks like Dan Horde got her talking, and then use a lot of her comments and things. So it's not necessarily coming from him, it's coming from her. And again, she's on the ground level. So in a lot of ways I would lean on anybody's perspective that's actually on the front lines, but that doesn't take away from my perspective, in my opinion, as well. Quote, they don't last year, this is from Detective Smith. Last year we saw young people, but not teenagers. This year it's the teenagers. They don't know how to rationalize. They don't know how to communicate. They are driven by their anger. It's like a toddler. If an adult slaps a 2-year-old on the hand and tells them no, the 2-year-old will hit you right back, because that's what they're reacting to. They don't think. They don't rationalize. I mean, okay. So what do we do with that? You know what I'm saying? So we're going to label teenagers as they don't think, they don't rationalize, they're driven by their anger. How do we deal with that? What room do we have now to negotiate or to deal with them to try to get them to a better place? And again, we love to talk about teenagers when somebody gets shot. When they had that shooting with the teenagers involved down on the banks, oh my God, everybody had, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? You had 100, 200 teenagers. One person was down there that fired a shot, but everybody, right, gets perceived the same. I think it's a mistake. There's also some conversation in here about the parents of some of these teenagers. Again, this is from the perspective of this Black female detective, Takia Smith. Does anybody knows her? Please tag her and let her know we're talking about it here. We know we're a locally based show, so she's always welcome to call in. I might even reach out to her. But in this article, she talks about some of the parents. It's just sad. Was his father in the house? No. His mother was barely in the house. His mother was running around being like him. I mean, sad but true. In some cases, we know that, like, you got a lot of children that are born into circumstances that are no fault of their own. Mama's head's not on straight. Father's head's not on straight. They got other focuses and priorities, if not other addictions and issues or habits or whatever, that may not be conducive to a positive environment. What are we going to do about that? I mean, how do we deal with that exactly? I mean, what program can we create that's going to make a mother a better mother, or make a father a better father? I don't know if that's it. I don't know. I've never heard of it. So I don't know. I mean, this particular piece, this is just one of a series, but as I read it, it's like if I wasn't me and I was less connected to what's going on here in this city, something like this has scared the hell out of me. Read this article to scare the hell out of me. You know what I'm saying? I can see some white folks, I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there, they don't really have a connection with black kids or whatever, clutching their purses at the mall, right? Because teenagers are irrational. I mean, I remember being a teenager in Cincinnati. I mean, I thought about stuff, but maybe I grew up differently. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm ready to say that. I'm not sure if I can rubber stamp her statement. Our kids are the scariest criminals. I don't know if I can. I mean, it's scary because they're kids. So that's scary. I give you that much. But the scariest criminals? Not so sure about that one. Brandy writes, I personally know the boy who did the shooting on the banks during the fireworks that year. Shaking my head. Is that right, Brandy? Said you personally know him. So, I mean, without giving us any kind of details about him as an individual, whatever, but what can you share with us? Sarah writes, some money has been taken away from programs that incentivize our youth to be civically responsible and productive. Like, the one thing that really gets me, and again, the media is going to do what the media does, but what we do as a city and the culture is also important as well. Like, my question again is the city and is the county fully invested in our youth, in teenagers? Have we fully invested to the max what we think that they really need? Like, I would have to say no. I don't believe that we have. Chris writes, good morning. TNT writes, juvenile courts can force parents to take parenting classes, place them on random drug testing, and force family counseling instead of jail time and fines. You know what? You're right about that, but I thought there's nothing you can really do about a parent like that until they come in contact with the system. And by then, in many cases, it's too late, right? I mean, this is some deep ish right here. This is not an easy thing. What I would say to Hamilton County, to Cincinnati in general, is this. We need to make deeper, broader, long-term investments into our youth. We need to have more conversations and more of a focus on what's up with our youth, even when there isn't shootings, even when teenagers haven't committed 15 shootings in last year. And, sometimes I feel like the only time we care about youth in Cincinnati is when they hit the headlines and there's a shooting or somebody gets caught in a crossfire or there's some other criminal activity, or we hear about teenagers going through like Kenwood Mall or something like that. Other than that, they're off the table for most of us. We don't think about them. We don't talk about them. We're not investing in them. Out of sight, out of mind. It feels that way to me. That's just to me. I don't have to be right. But ponder this, my friends, and then tell me what you think at 513-873-7134. And while you do that, and again, let me say good morning to you. I want to remind you that today's show is brought to you by our good friends at Renew Community Church. They do a live stream series on Sundays at 11:45 a.m. This week's topic, you only have a 30% chance of success in 2022. That's not good. Learn how you can win, succeed, and turn your life around by 95% in 2022. Now, you could tap in on Sunday on Facebook at facebook.com/CINCI Renew, CINCI Renew, and on YouTube, Renew Community Church live stream. All brought to you by Charlie Wimburn. Check that out. That's on Sunday. And since I know you already partake on live streams on Facebook, because we're on Facebook on a live stream right now, this may be something you might be interested in. So just put it on your calendar, or just make a mental note of it, and I'll remind you later. You already know I will remind you later. Good morning to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning. Again, my number is 513-873-7134. If you want to share your thoughts this morning, I would love to hear it. I'd love to hear what's on your mind. Let me jump over to the choppers. Fox writes, rise and shine, young stars.
Get to the chopper!
Sharp writes, good morning, Nathan the choppers. Deep Peace by the Inquirer. You said deep peace. Was it deep? It's deep on a lot of levels. Like, what's deep about this is what's deep about this, honestly, is the Inquirer series. It's called Kids Who Kill. Like, the title of it is deep. It's a very provocative title, Kids Who Kill, right? Wow, right? Some might even say that it's exploitive. I could see somebody making that argument. What's interesting is not just the perspective of his black female police detective, but also the way that it's presented by this media outlet. It's very interesting. And it's like, is this conducive to spurring some kind of policy or sparking ideas, sparking new ideas to deal with this? I'm not really sure if it's going to do that. It will make people say OMG, right? It will make people click on it. Kids Who Kill, right? But again, it'll be interesting to see where they go with this with the Inquirer, because this is like the third or fourth one I've seen so far. And to this point, none of them are sort of pointing, and we already know what the answers are. But is this city willing to invest in it? Like, we're willing to invest in so many other things. Are we willing to invest in this issue, right? Long term? That's my question. But we shall find out together, my friends. 513-873-7134. Brandy writes, these kids are a lot different now. If so, how, Brandy? How are these kids different? I keep hearing that. Kids are different. Kids are different. Every generation says that about the next generation. They different. They wilder than we was. We had more respect. Our music, it was better. We didn't dance so provocatively, right? Everybody says that. So what's so different about teenagers these days? What's so different? I mean, I think the same is the truth. It's been the same truth. If you got teenagers that grow up in a home where they don't have positive reinforcement, then they're going to go in another direction. That's been the case since the beginning of time, isn't it? And sure, you can blame the culture, you could blame the music, but there's always been bad influences. There's always been bad influences. People might say that rap music is a bad influence, but there's always been bad influences. Is it the parents? Is it the culture? Is it the music? Is it the water? What is it? Brandy writes, yes, I knew him. He'd always come to the rec center I worked at. Okay. Jocelyn writes, too many people think that building a new basketball court means we're being fully invested in our youth. That's not it. Right. Right. A new basketball court. Brent writes, Nate, most cities fully invested in youth, but unfortunately, it's only on the incarceration side of the spectrum. Excellent points out there. Yeah, we'll make investments. We got a brand new sale down here. Ryan writes, I could not agree more, Nate. We don't pay attention to these kids till they start acting up. Right. Like the law, like the media, they don't really start paying attention to this until there's a problem. But that's just the nature of the media. That's just the nature of the media, though. It'll always be that way. The media is not here to solve problems. They're here to report on issues that might get clicks for their particular sites or whatever they're trying to get you to go. Brenda writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Good morning.
Get to the chopper!
Carmelita writes, hey, Chop Shop. I see Eb G's in the house. Okay, I'm liking that pic right there. Eb G. She writes, "Good morning, great people." Callie writes, "Good morning." Crystal writes, "Good morning, Nathan and the Choppers." Nikki writes, "Good morning, fam." Anthony writes, "Like and share, fam." Daryl writes, "Good morning, Nathan and the Hella Choppers." Crystal writes, "Yes, that movie was scary." You talking about Children of the Corn? Yeah, it was. Crazy ass kids. Those were some crazy kids. Those were killer kids. There was also a part about, the fact that there's too many young people as admirers that get their hands on guns and then feel a certain way about having a gun, and it just contributes to what we're seeing out on the streets, and that makes the headlines and things like that. And I thought, having a gun is cool. Our culture makes having a gun cool. Having some kind of weapon is cool. Thor had a hammer. Hawkeye had a bow and arrow. Iron Man has those little, gauntlet blasters. You know what I'm saying? All the heroes got guns. Our culture glorifies those that have guns, especially if you're good with a gun. Oh, that's cool, right? That's real cool. And then rap just kind of picked up on that. Yeah, that's what kills me about this culture, man. They make it seem like rap music was the first thing that came along, like the first culture to come along and glorify guns. What was cowboy in it? What about these westerns? What about these westerns? These western movies, way that by decades, they predate hip hop, where you had the protagonist or the hero who was keeping the town safe with the barrel of a six shooter, right? He would do little tricks with it. Shit was cool. Come on now. Americana, our culture has glorified gun ownership and having a gun. I mean, look at fucking John Wick. Excuse my language. Lord, forgive me for my brash delivery. Look at John Wick. I can't even stand John Wick because it's just an orgy of gun worship. That's all it is. It's just an orgy of gun worship, just from one scene to the next. Don't nobody say no damn thing about that, but it's Lil Durk's fault. It's Lil Baby's fault, right? It's King Von's fault. R.I.P. to King Von. It's King Von's fault, right? It's the rappers from Chicago. I don't think so. We forget all about John Wayne and Clint Eastwood. Where would Clint Eastwood be if we didn't have weapons? Nowhere. Damn near every movie he ever been in, his co-star was a weapon. A Remington, a Glock, a Beretta, 357. Go ahead, make my day. But then we want to dump it all on Snoop Dogg's lap. No. Yeah. Right. And then, I think the other thing that I wonder if we just don't have a better handle on is, some of these people, these young folks are living in environments where it's cutthroat. You know what I'm saying? Maybe some of it's about protection. I feel like I got to carry a weapon because I feel like everybody else is carrying a weapon. And it's interesting to me. It's like, we'll ask these questions about the youth. Why do the youth need guns? Why you got to have a gun? At the same time, the adults around the country are trying to make it easier for you to conceal and carry because the adults feel insecure and they want to have guns. But you can't understand young people feeling insecure and therefore want to have a gun. What you talking about? Maybe some of these youth want a gun for the same reason why your mom and daddy want a gun. Because you scared somebody else might whip one out on you and you don't have one. Real simple. Everybody got guns these days. Like in your Ohio legislature right now, they're debating as to whether they should do away with the requirements that you currently have in place to get a concealed and carry, to have a weapon concealed and carried around. Why? Because they're afraid. What they're afraid of? It's just white fragility, but they're afraid. So if you're afraid, then why can't we find the space to realize why maybe some of these young folks are afraid and they're living in some of the worst neighborhoods you can imagine? You got folks out there that drive to ritzy neighborhoods, gated communities, exclusive zip codes, pricey zip codes. They know everybody on the street. And in their house, they gunned up. They gunned up in their house. Don't have a damn thing to be worried about. But in their head, they got to, right? Somebody might try to get me. I don't know. I want to get your thoughts about it. 513-873-7134. Lee writes, I think it's going to get worse. Kids who are raised with no morals can't teach their children morals. You said kids who are raised with no morals? It depends on what morals you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody has a value system. They may just value something different than what you value. You know what I'm saying? And then who says that you don't have no morals just because you own a gun or just because you pulled the trigger? That don't mean you have no morals. I don't know if that's true or not. Maurice writes, no, these racist white folks are. Our children are not scary. If they are, it's because the elders let them down. Most definitely. Yeah, the elders most certainly let down the children. Most certainly. Absolutely. I mean, even in this article that I'm talking about, this black female detective, she talks about how in some cases when you've got like young people that are involved in shootings, They do the investigation, they meet the parents and realize, oh, mom's not in the house, or she's in and out. If dad's not in the house, if he is, he's in and out. And so this is not rocket science. Like, since the beginning of time, if parents are not there for their kids, the kids might just do anything. Nothing new. It was that way in the 70s, the 60s, the 50s, the 30s, and before that, and it'll be that way to the beginning of time. That's just the way it works. That ain't new. Like, sometimes I feel like when we talk about the problems that are particular, like the violence and youth, we forget about all the other stuff we've been talking about, and we act dumb. Like, all of a sudden, we don't understand how human beings work. We already know what to do, but does Cincinnati have the will to do it? Does Hamilton County have the will to do it? I don't know. I don't know. I hope we do. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nathan.
Hey, good morning.
This is Ebony.
Hey, Ebony, good morning.
Good morning. Salutations to one and all. Shout out to the grinders and the pathfinders. The problem with these children is it's multifaceted. There's not one silver bullet. But my generation, I'm 43. We let the pendulum go so far out of whack because a lot of us are trying to do what our parents, undo or relive or try to come up under generational curses, traumas, and stuff we suffer. Because, don't get it twisted. Folks were getting their butt whooped in the 70s, 80s, 90s, getting their butt tore out the frame. And some of it was borderline abuse. So now a lot of us said, okay, I'm going to take up the stakes and say, I'm not going to do this with my child. And some children need physical discipline. I'm not saying, people's elbow them in the throat trying to make them eat their food. I'm saying there has to be consequences. And physical discipline is a last resort. It's supposed to be. These kids are scared of no one. I have 3 teenagers. I've been messing with Cincinnati Public Schools, tussling with these educators for years now. They're scared of them. Everybody's scared of them. Nobody wants to do anything with them. Everybody wants to give them all these social programs, but they don't want to put nothing into them. They're not built from within. A lot of people don't understand parenting is not just paying bills and putting clothes on the back and food on the table. You have to build them as people from within. You have to give them the barometer to be able to judge right from wrong, to value their community, to value themselves. And if you're not doing that, who's minding the store? Yeah, you're working and you're doing great. Go mom, go dad. But what are you putting into them? What are you showing them? Are you getting out of the community showing them how to build a community? Are you volunteering down at the soup kitchen so they can know what to do as far as that's concerned? Are you walking them through life? Because there's a difference between being raised and being dragged. And a lot of these kids are being dragged to 18.
All right. Ebony, thanks for the call. I appreciate you.
All right. Take care.
Most step. That's Ebony. Racker. Do you agree or disagree with her flow this morning? She said a lot of these kids are being dragged, not raised. Could be. Okay. Look, I don't act like I have the answers because I do not. I don't do that. But I'm just here for the conversation. And if you are, you can always chime in at 513-873-7134. That's my number. All I ask is that you open your mind before you open your mouth. Good morning to you. Good morning. At some point this morning, I've watched another episode of that series called Harlem. I want to give you a one-man spoiler review, and it's going to be a light review. I'm not going to get as deep. I want to give you some sad news this morning about the passing of a very powerful mind, and I'm talking about Bell Hooks. How many people are hip to Bell Hooks? All lowercase. She has passed away. Author and activist Bell Hooks has passed away at 69. Born Gloria Jean Watkins, she died at her home in Berea, Kentucky. I didn't know that Bell Hooks lived in Kentucky. I didn't know that. Did y'all know this? But she was working at Berea College. Everybody hip to Bell Hooks? Bell Hooks was super dope, man. Super dope. A lot of really, really dope books that she wrote. And I just know that she spurred a whole generation of of intellectuals, man, people that was really like tapping into what she had to say. Very, very powerful mind, very powerful mind. She was born in Hopkinsville, Kentucky. I did not know this. I had no idea. Anybody hip to Bell Hooks, should I say? Let me see if I can find a photograph of her and put it up there for her. A lot of dope books and things. Ain't I a Woman? Black Women in Feminism. That sound good to you? Ring a bell? Anybody read that before? I got some bell hooks over here. I can't remember what I have exactly. It's been a long time. Back in the 90s, I was into all of this ish, man. I was into all of that. But I want to say a rest in power to Bell Hooks. Very, very, if you're not hip to her, just type her name in, do a Google search, and you'll tap into who this sister was and what she meant to the culture, whether you know or not. She was highly influential. Some of your favorite influencers were influenced by her. No doubt about it. Bell Hooks. I did an interview with a woman named Joan Morgan, she called herself a hip hop feminist many years ago, and she was heavily influenced by Bell Hooks. She wrote a book called When Chicken Heads Come Home to Roost. When Chicken Heads Come Home to Roost. It was super good. It was great for its time. She was heavily influenced by Bell Hooks. Talked a lot about her in that book as well. So R.I.P. to Bell Hooks. Eb G writes, Children of the Corn is a movie I have never forgotten. I don't think I should have watched that. Is that right? Well, if you listen to the Inquirer, man, we got Children of the Corn right now. I'm not afraid of the youth. When I see young kids, whether I don't care what no neighborhood, what I look like being afraid of a child. I mean, I feel the same way, but I can understand it though. I can definitely understand it, kind of understand it. But any Bell Hooks fans out there, you have the Bell Hooks, BELL .hooks, all lowercase. Good morning to you. Craig writes, good morning from San Diego. Let me go straight to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nate. This is Daryl from Atlanta.
What up, Daryl? Good morning,
brother. It's the first time I've been able to call you 2 days in a row. Hey, Bell Hook. Well, how should I say this? I know a lot of people were influenced by her just by reading on social media about her. But the fact that she's local, I think the Inquirer, the local paper, should have paid some tribute to her since she was, very influential with a lot of people of notoriety, and I think did they make any mention of her death in the local
in the
paper?
Inquirer? I would have to say they probably did, but I haven't read it locally. But I would be very shocked if they didn't. I'd be extremely shocked. So I'm gonna have to say they probably did. I just probably missed it.
Okay. And this thing with that other article was in the Inquirer about children and
kids that kill
and discipline. Yeah. Because I would normally look it up, but I have to wait a while so I could get that free thing because I refuse to pay. So they had that paywall up, so I can't see it.
Right.
But
see, for me, I pay for it because I need to know what's going on.
Well, yeah, I understand you local and everything, and I just have issues with the Inquirer from when I was living there.
I get it.
But what I was going to say about, I think the last caller was right about the discipline. However, I want to slightly disagree with her. With the answer is beating. I think we need to, as African Americans, when we talk discipline, it's more than physical punitive physically, for correction. I think there are many ways that you can be stern and get your point across. And I'm saying this not having any kids, but I have nieces and nephews and everything. But I still think you can get your point across by not always going to the belt or going to the cord. I mean, some of that stuff, people will call on, but I think you understand where I'm going with it.
I understand.
That's not, I mean, you can still be just as effective by leveling discipline through other means. And I think that's what's happening here. There's a proverb. I didn't look it up because I just wanted to go off the top of my head, but basically, and I'll translate it to current language. Basically, it says a man, but I'll say a parent despise their children if they don't enact discipline. And that's what I see happening currently in our society. Of course, in our community, we want our kids to do better. And just because we're coming from that standpoint of we want our kids to do better, we automatically reach for, well, how can we make things easier for them? It's almost like the caterpillar and the butterfly. If you don't get that, if the butterfly doesn't learn when it comes out of cocoon to exercise those wings so it can fly away, we more or less, and I'm saying adults when I say we more or less circumvent that process because we want it to be easier for them. And then they can, then they become crippled when it's time to fly. And so that's where I'm coming from with the discipline part, because as someone mentioned in the chat that they don't know how to cope. If you lose, you want to, lash out. If you get rejected, whether by whether by the female that you like, or you get rejected because you didn't get accepted into a school or organization or a group, you want to lash out. And the first thing you reach for, as you said, is, we're reaching for guns and we're looking for violence to retaliate. And that's not the answer. The answer is, as you always said, learn from the rejection, improve yourself, look at look within yourself. Like, well, is it true? First, you got to determine, is it true? And look at the factors that are playing into that. If it's not true about you and you're rejected, then you got to look at the source of the rejection, because we know that that's that whole racism thing and bias that's playing into that. But if it's true, then make corrections and as you said, improve yourself and become a winner, and don't focus on, the people that are winning and become a loser. So that's where I'm coming from, Brother Nate. Take care, brother.
Appreciate the call, man. That's Daryl. We'll go ahead and rack him. So he said a bunch of things I want to unpack. One, he challenged the previous call we got from Ebony, because it did kind of sound like Ebony is like, we need more corporal punishment. Put that hand on that on that tailbone, give you a little pain. We need more of that, which, for me, I think that the number one form of discipline is the example that you set your kids. Now, we got a 6-year-old little boy, and already we're noticing that we're going to have to deal with him differently than we did Medium Buddha. Medium Buddha, and I'll say this again, my son's not watching, but Medium Buddha, I can't imagine having another child who was easier. I've said this to friends. I may have said this too before, but I look back and I don't even remember her being a kid. She was always so self-contained. It's scary, actually. From the moment she came home, slept in her own bed, never cried. This child never slept in our bed her whole life. Like, when she got older, she wanted to sleep with mom and dad. I'm talking about as a child. Put her in her own room, down the corner, around the corner a little bit. She never complained. Right. I wake up in the morning, go in there, she be sitting there playing with toys, and she see me and then stand up, I pick her up. Always self-contained. She's always been like that. I mean, she's just a very mild-mannered, self-disciplined kind of human being. She's always been like that. It's just the funniest thing ever. Our son, nah, that's gonna be different. But I just feel like you can say anything you want to say to a kid. A kid is always going to look at what you do. They're going to look at what you do, how you spend your time, what you eat, how you interact and how you conduct your house. How you keep your spaces clean, how you conduct your business. That's what they're going to look at. I'm not a big corporal punishment. Have there been times when we had to do that with Medium Buddha? Yeah, once she did some super dumb ish, but kids are gonna do that. With our son, I can see it. I don't like to do it, but I won't hesitate, especially if it's something where it's like their life or safety is gonna be at risk. Ooh, they'll get it quick then. But for the most part, they're good kids. We don't have to go that hard with them. But I think we also try real hard to set examples for them, even in the way that we interact with one another. And I don't know if that's happening in other households. I don't know. I'm not trying to judge in any way. I want to simply have this conversation because it seems like it's a very critical conversation. It's a very critical conversation that we should be having right now. He also talked about whether the Inquirer had written about, I think they did. Maybe they had a little piece in there. But if you type in bell hooks right now, you're going to get all kinds of news articles. She passed away. She was a tremendous thinker. And I was thinking about this, and I really mean this. I'm going to make a statement to you. But if I had a chance of meeting Steph Curry or bell hooks, I choose bell hooks any day. We just have more to talk about. And if I met Steph Curry, I'd be like, oh, man, you really shoot them threes. With bell hooks, I can sit down and talk about a whole range of things. And this sister, her real name was, she was born Gloria Jean Watkins. Get this, and you won't be surprised. I always got to shout out the Virgo. She was a Virgo. Not surprised to hear that. Not surprised to hear it. Virgos are the most superlative of all of the astrological signs on the planet Earth. It is the Virgos. We run this thing. And Virgos are some of the most intelligent and creative people you're ever going to meet. And they can also be some of the other side of that as well. It's an extreme. So I'm not surprised to find out that Gloria Jean Watkins and her pseudonym was Bell Hooks. I think I'm saying that right. Now, how she come up with the name Bell Hooks? BELL HOOKS, all lowercase. And why did she spell her name lowercase? Now, I may be wrong about this, but as I understand it, she took that name from her great grandmother, who was known, quote unquote, for a snappy and bold tongue, and a woman that she greatly admired. And she put the name in lowercase because she wanted to distinguish herself from her grandmother. That's why she did it all in lowercase. But her grandmother, she had one of them grandmothers. And I had one of those grandmothers too, so I already know. I don't know if those kind of women are still around. I mean, I think there's something about that born in the South, migrating to the North, you know what I'm saying? Christian values, tough as nails, smart as you know what, with a big old heart for her babies, right? My grandmother or my grandfather or my mother or my father or my uncle, all the older people around me that I looked up to, they all had a snappy, bold tongue, always. Oh, man, it was not unusual for me to walk downstairs and see my grandparents in a big old argument with somebody, and they'd be getting into it. Not ready to fight because it's not that serious. You reserve that for other people, but there's really having, debates on all the small things and the big things. I remember, never forget that one time my grandfather had this big debate with my uncle, his son, about I-75 versus I-71. They argued for days about this. Like every time they saw one another, they argued about it. But it's just all in fun, man. Them kind of people. But a couple books you might want to check out. I think, like literally, where's my bell hooks? Maybe during a break, I'll pick it out. I think I've got Black Looks. I do have Black Looks, Race and Representation. And what's funny is it's been a minute, but it's not uncommon for me. I read these books. That's not just for show. I mean, sometimes I'm thinking of flows and I just need the backup of some facts or whatever. And, I'll crack the book, get that information, boom, bring it back to the flow. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to have to really, at this point now, what I want to make sure, I want to have all of Bell Hooks books now. So I got to have my bell hooks collection. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That kind of stuff. I like that kind of stuff. I know I'm corny as hell. I know. All right, hold on real quick. Let me see if I can get a photograph of bell hooks for you. So I want to get it because everybody's celebrating Steph Curry because he broke a fucking 3-point. I don't give a fuck about that shit. Fuck that record. Excuse my language. Our culture's so messed up. You know, we'll celebrate a man because he shot a ball more times than anybody else. I'm just saying we need to elevate some of our intellectuals to that same level, like this sister right here, Bell Hooks. You know, I want to live in a culture that would celebrate her passing as much as the passing of a milestone like 3-point shooting. Give a damn about no damn 3-point shots. But this sister right here, she set the table for the way people think, right, about the world that we actually live in. And she sparked a generation behind her. I want to give her props. That's Bell Hooks, everybody. R.I.P. Rest in power. Rest in power. If only we lived in a culture that would celebrate her passing as much as the passing of Steph Curry's 3-point milestone. He got more 3-pointers than Ray Allen. So what? Big fucking deal. I ain't seeing no money. Did you get a check? It ain't changing the world. It ain't sparking a revolution of how you look at anything. I mean, it's cool and all, but let's be honest here. He's shooting basketballs. Come on now, stop it. But that's our culture, though. That's Americana for you. We always get shit wrong. So a couple books, The Will to Change, All About Love, Critical Race Theory, Ain't I a Woman? That's a dope one right there. Black Looks and Race Representation. I certainly have that. Hold on, yo, fam. Hold on. Because I keep my knowledge close. Here it is. I keep my knowledge close. You ain't surrounded by knowledge, then what you surrounded by? Yeah, I love this book right here, actually. Yeah. I cracked this cover many times over my career. Right here. There it is. Black Looks. That's a dope. Get this. And then these days, man, you can go on Amazon or go out to half price books. I might have got this at half price books. Maybe. No, listen like I did. Nah, this goes back to, not sure. Ain't I a Woman? Feminist Theories, Talking Back, Yearning. And then she was in a lot of like essays, because sometimes you'll have these books where they'll have a overarching title and they'll have 8 or 9 different authors. Each one will get a chapter. So she's written a lot of books. She's like in a lot of books like that, like anthologies and shit like that. But this is dope. You should check that out right there. So again, if I had a chance to meet either Steph Curry or Bell Hooks before her passing, I would choose to meet Bell Hooks any day. We just have more to talk about. It would just be a deeper conversation I could actually get something from. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I ain't issuing on Steph. I mean, he's a ball player and all, but just look at our culture, though. We got everything backwards and twisted, and then we want to blame the youth. It's the adults. You know, that's part of the issue with this Inquirer article. Kids that kill. Number one, I feel like it's sensational, but I give them grace because I'm in the media. I understand you want a sensational headline. Like, oh, kids that kill. I got to click on that. But we can't blame the problems that we see these young people dealing with. It's our fault. Let's call it what it is. We blew it. The adults blew it. We did not deliver for these young people in the way that we were supposed to across the board. Across the boards, as mothers and fathers, as nieces, as uncles and aunties, as nieces and nephews, as neighbors, as a community. We blew it. And then we want to sit back and be like, OMG, why are they doing these things? What you fucking mean? We live in a culture where we do 2 things, but then when young people do it, we want to act like we don't understand. One, we have glorified guns. We have glorified gun ownership, having a gun, being good with a gun. And then we live in a culture where might makes right. Might makes right. The ends justify the means. If I can take it and get away with it, oh well. If I can take it from you and get away with it, okay, oh be it. Should have been smarter. So we simultaneously glorify guns. We're still glorifying guns with all these movies. It's not just the rap music, although rap music picks up on it too. But rap music is necessarily rap music is younger than some of these other cultures that have been glorifying guns. Like I said, when I grew up, man, westerns was real big. John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, you name it, they all had their guns. They all had those scenes where he would just bring the justice, right? You're glorifying gun usage. What little kid don't want to have a gun? What little kid didn't want to have a gun and play with a gun? Come on now. It's fun. It's cool. A man with a gun gets respect. And then we live in a culture where might makes right. If I can take it from you, then you didn't deserve to have it. If I can take it from you, then you didn't deserve to have it. You should have been stronger. That's the American culture that we grew up in. But then when kids pick up on it, all of a sudden, what's wrong with the kids? As we speak right now in the state of Ohio, you have adults debating as to whether they should drop the current requirements so that you can conceal and carry a firearm. Why? Because adults are crazy. They're crazy with their fear. Okay, so why would we think that these young folks that's living in neighborhoods, they got a whole other thing they're dealing with. Why can't they be afraid? Mofos are afraid. That's why. Why are youth carrying guns? For the same reason why adults are arguing that we should do away with these requirements so they can carry guns, because they're afraid. It's real simple. But, it feels like when we start talking about youth that commit crimes, all of a sudden we forget all these things. What do you mean why? What do you mean why? Guns are cool. Mike makes right. Or rather to be judged by 12 than be carried by 6. Ain't that how adults rule their life? Yeah. And isn't that your ethos? Yeah. Why would it be any different if you're 14 or 15? Same way. I'd rather kill him before he killed me. Have we properly invested in our youth the way that we really should? If the answer is no, then that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. And we ain't even talking about the legacy of slavery and how it still impacts the black family. We ain't even talking about that. That's a whole nother thing, right? Behind glass that we can all see that we're not talking about right now. So, let's stop acting dumb and let's just start being smart and getting active and doing what we need to do for these young folks, if in fact that's what we really care about. Now, let me say this. There are so many good people out there that have their heart in the right place. They go hard for our youth in Cincinnati, in Hamilton County, around this state, around this country. Props to all of them. But they need help. They need more. They need more. Let me go straight to the phones here. Good morning. We got John from Princeton. What's up, John? Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Nathan Ivey. Sorry, I'm not from Princeton. I'm in sunny Florida. Nice
John from Florida. Sorry about that, John.
That's okay. Interesting flows, and good morning to the choppers this morning, too. Interesting flows that you're having before we get to the guns and the comments on one or two of your callers, as well as your opening comments about that. I know you don't want to hear the accolades and things that Steph Curry is getting. I have great respect for Steph Curry. I followed him in his career, his last year in college. They didn't make the big dance, but I can see talent in this young man before he graduated from, Davis University, I believe. And, he put the time in. I have a respect for him. I followed his career, see all his drills that he do during the summer to stay on top of his game. Steph Curry took notes from Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Bird, where a lot of these athletes do not do what they're supposed to do when they don't make the playoffs. Instead of them going home partying, sunbathing, traveling all over the world, chasing girls, Magic and Bird and Michael talked about a lot of these athletes don't improve their game. They sit back over the summer, which got Shaq in trouble with what's the name before he passed away when they were playing with the LA Lakers. When Shaq would not do anything over the summertime, come back into preseason out of shape, one little injury, and he hurt the team. But Steph Curry, you can see the progression since college that he has made. So I have to give him props and credit. Records are meant to be broken, Nate. I mean, you may agree, disagree. Records are meant to be broken. So he broke several records, and I have great respect for him. Yes, I do agree with you. Sometimes we put these athletes on a different pedestal, and some of them don't get involved with what they're supposed to be doing, making all these millions of dollars. They should be giving back to the community that helped get them from the time they were born into where they're at. Some of them forget. What do they call? Who wrote that book? I think you should get him on the airway as a $1 million slave athlete.
$40 million slaves.
Right. I think you should get
Bill Roden.
I think you should try to get him on. I think you've had him on once
I spoke
before.
with him a couple times. Yeah. It seemed like a good guy.
But I think I caught one of the interviews he had, and it's an interesting book, and he does break way as to what these athletes are. But, as long as these athletes don't step over the line, which is, some people say, nigga, stay in your wing, athlete. I mean, I have respect for the King, James, because James does step out of the arena. He knows his time is running out. And I'm sure he wants to get another ring so his kids can see that. But he's moving into an arena where he feels his career, he's been playing since high school. He's not going to break Magic Jordan's record, but his career is starting to come to a twilight. And he realized now he's getting into movies and doing other things, and he does give back. If you follow his charitable organizations on site, he doesn't talk about it, but he does give back because he realized where he came from. And if things are not right in this country, I have respect for James. Some people don't like him, some people do like him, but he speaks out when things are not right because he realizes he could be driving down the street and these thuggish KKK cops can pull him over and put a gun in his head. Money doesn't mean nothing when these cops start putting guns in your head, but that's another story another day. But I respect James. So I don't want to belittle the Curry situation. Let's flow into your diatribe and your comments on shooting. Yes, I do agree with you. We in the Black community, okay, let's put our slave masters to the side. We know all about them. We know that they created this scenario, flooding the guns and the drugs into our community. We know that. Okay, let's put that to the side. But we created the mess too. My mother used to say, you become what your slave masters are. And that's what we see in the community. Yes, the guns are being flooded into our community. And if this law, if it gets to the Supreme Court and they pass that you don't have to carry a permit or license, if that doesn't go through, it's the Wild Wild West down here in Florida anyway. I mean, it's crazy. You turn on TV, it's shooting after shooting, night after night. Sometimes I don't even want to watch the nightly news. And people are packing and carrying. My uncle told me as soon as I moved down here, listen, Nathan, it's more accidents down here. Every time you turn around, it's accidents everywhere. But my uncle said to me, if somebody hits you, do not get out of your car. Do not approach them because everybody's packing guns, he says. And if they pull that gun out and blow you away, they're going to claim the Trayvon Martin law. That's what the cops did when Trayvon Martin warned the Cretan to stay in the state and do not follow him. Well, people are packing guns in the state of Florida and across the country. If that law in the Supreme Court passes, it's the Wild Wild West. Well, it's there anyway. So, we have to look at ourselves over the years on how we in the Black community, and I blame our Black leaders too, because they've been quiet. You know who you are. Okay, I'm going to say it. Jesse Jackson, Sharpton. You know, you guys prop your organizations and, support this and support that. But under the table, these characters are taking the money under the table. And if you're not a part of their inner circle, they're not going to deal with you. That's a reality. I'll get into that when my book comes out. You'll read about the Nahys that preach one thing in the pulpit or get on TV and say one thing, but they run the other way. But another day in another chapter. But it's all about us, and we have a lot to blame for the mess that goes on in the Black community. And I don't see it turning around no time soon. And if the factless Republicans get control of the Congress and the Senate, it's going to get worse. And if Biden and Harris, if he runs, I don't think he's going to run in 24. His time is over with too. Harris is they're setting Harris up. You can see where this is going. They're setting Harris up to become the first Black female president. If she runs or not, I think she's going to run because the press will be on her. But the scenario is being set up. It's barely that the factless Democrats can get anything done. Wow. I don't understand something. You got the presidency, you got the Democrat, and you can't get the Democrat Party that controls everything, and you can't get nothing done. Okay, yeah, the Supreme Court doesn't help. That's another day at another time. But this thing is a mess, and I don't see it changing. But what I'm most curious about, and I like to hear you talk about that, Nathan Ivey, what, over 800,000 people dead over this virus? Well, if you say 800, make it over 1 million. Because a lot of people have not been reported dying over the COVID. And yes, I lost a brother, so I take that serious. If Trump gets away with this mess, forget about the laws in this country. Yeah, we can deal with that scenario at another time. But over 1 million people dead, and this factless orange head is going to walk away with the biggest crime in American history. Remember when you take that inauguration, Trump? I know you're listening to the Nathan Ivey Show. You put your hand on that Bible and you raise your hand saying you're going to protect and serve the American people. Yeah, okay. Well, let's see how it plays out with the Democrats. They got the investigation going. I think it's running no place. And you got some of Trump's people that are saying, I'm not coming before that investigation. You got to be kidding me. Get the hell out of here. You're wasting my time. Well, I say you should go and arrest that cretin and anybody else that are called to come before that investigation. If not, if the Democrat runs the table between now and the end of their term, which is midterms, and they lose the House and the Senate, this investigation is dead in the water. And if they lose the presidency in 24, it's truly dead, and Trump will escape the biggest crime in American history. Your comment, sir.
No comments, John. I appreciate the flows. Have a nice day.
I just want to say that and have a nice day. And it's nice and sunny here. I don't know how it is in Cincinnati, but your wife's got to let you take a vacation and come down here. I think we can go to the man cave down here and have a nice time. I hope wifey is not listening.
The man cave? What's the man cave?
Well, we got a man cave down here. I won't really mention it. I don't want to.
Is it called the man cave?
Well, some people call it the man cave, where men go to relax and have a couple of drinks, play pool, talk turkey.
What's the name of the place?
I can't give that to you over there.
Okay.
There's secret places. I don't want the wifeys across the country to realize, no, you're not going to Florida and visit John from Florida. No, you're not going there. I know what goes on. Well,
we'll talk about it later then, John. How about that? Away from the public.
Yes,
that's true, brother. Take it easy.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day. That's John checking in. The man cave. I started looking it up. Like, is that like a real place? The man cave. What in the hell? What did he say? John gonna get me in trouble, man. Stop it, John. Before we go any further, I just want to remind you that our friends over at Renew Community Church, they have a live stream series that you can tap into via Facebook and YouTube on Sundays at 11:45 a.m. You only have a 30% chance of success in 2022. That's not good. Learn how you can win, succeed, and turn your life around by 95% in 2022. You can tap in on Facebook at Cincy Renew. That's facebook.com/CINCI Renew. And you can tap in on YouTube at Renew Community Church live stream. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. The hell was John talking about? And for all the talk this man does, I don't even talk about too much because I'm kind of over it, but that man don't even fucking vote. The man don't even freaking vote. But again, that's my bid. I said what I had to say about Bell Hooks. Maybe you're hip to her, maybe you're not. If you're someone who likes to read on these types of topics, Google it and maybe get some of her books. Check her out. But she was tremendously influential on a generation of intellectuals, male and female, not just women, but male and female. And she was born in Kentucky and was working in Kentucky. I didn't even realize that. I had no idea. Kentucky had a gym. Sister Iris writes, good morning, great people. TNT writes, love and support is what they need. Susan writes, hopefully we won't again change this issue down the same rabbit hole that we have before. Proactive versus reactive. I'm with you on that. I'm with you. Sarah writes, money has been taken away from programs that incentivizes our youth to be civically responsible and productive. Really? Cass writes, hey, Choppers. Is that right? Really? Where they do that at? Really? Kamiki writes, I don't understand the point of this article other than to give white folks a license to unleash, stand your ground, and open carry on black children. Ooh, Kamikia. Again, when I got that same feeling, Kamikia, when I read the article, I thought, wow, I can see how some people read this and be like, oh, these black kids are they out of control. It just feeds into the idea that black kids are the problem in Hamilton County. And I say black children because even though race, white and black are not mentioned at all, right? We know who's in the headlines. We know who, is being reported to have committed some of these crimes. And then you got a black detective talking about it. And she grew up in some neighborhoods in Cincinnati. And so it just gives the impression that she's talking about black kids. And so part of the headline reads, a homicide detective speaks, our kids are the scariest criminals. Well, if that homicide director is a black female that grew up in Cincinnati that has a 14-year-old herself, then the reader is left to conclude that when she says our kids are the scariest criminals, that she must be talking about black kids. And that could never be true. How in the hell could black kids be the scariest criminals in America? That don't even make any sense. That don't even make any sense. It does. It defies logic. It makes no sense. But I'm with you, Kamiki. I thought some people might read this and be like, honey, time to get that concealed and carry permit, right? Because the article doesn't give you, it doesn't, and again, this is just one of a series, but the article doesn't really, I don't think it really leads to any productive places. Now, this is just my opinion. Other people might read it and get something else from it, but that's what I get from it. Now, as a member of the media, I understand how this works. Local media, any media, they want you to hit that play button or hit the click button or go to their website and read what they have to do. So they're going to give you salacious headlines. Everybody does that. Everyone does that. But I'm just wondering if there's a different link. We keep, whenever I see these articles over the years, the story is always written in the same couple of ways, right? It's always the same thing. And maybe we should try something different from a media standpoint. I don't know. I've got a lot of questions and no answers. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nathan. It's Nicole. How you doing?
Hey, Nicole. Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you. Really enjoyed the conversation and the topic today. Haven't had a chance to fully read that article, but I agree. Kids that kill is a very provocative topic, or title, I should say. And I think what you was just hitting on is, and Kamika was making a great point, like when you read that or you see that, depending on which group you're in, or race, I should say, you'll see this and might hear this in a different lens. You know, for us, we're taking ownership. You said it's a Black police officer, so automatically when she say our kids, we thinking that she's speaking majority African American youth. And so for us, it's a reflection. It magnifies how we failed those kids. You know, the parents, our school system, the community. You know, if you're a white American, you may not feel as connected. It may be like the others and what they do, and they're bad, and it just continues to perpetuate a stereotype that our children are, you know, innately evil, liars, criminals, or whatever, which doesn't help. Yesterday was a major day for us in the Cincinnati NAACP. I put in the chat, we had donated coats for every student at South Avondale. And I have to tell you, to see the looks on these kids' faces from kindergarten to sixth grade. And a lot of kids at that age range where they're considered killer kids, 14-year-olds and 12-year-olds or whatnot. And when they got their coats, they felt love, you know. They wasn't expecting it. I could see some kids, you know, just having on like little hoodies. You know, some of their coats, you know, had probably been through the ringer, had it for a while, and just to get a fresh new coat, you know, it was like the best feeling in the world. And the little boy coming up, hey, can I get some gloves? Can I get a hat? You know, and if it was a coat that they really, really didn't like, we did our best to get them in something that they left with a smile with, you know. And it's more of that we have to do. We have to reach out to our youth in all kinds of ways. We have an adopted class, and we've been adopting a class at South Avondale for a couple of years through our WIN committee, Women in the NAACP. And some of the students that we've had when they were in first grade, they're now in fourth grade. We see these kids, and they're like, we're watching them grow up, and remember the conversations we're having with them. You know, everything from, you know, self-love to how to vote to, you know, bullying, whatever the subject matter. We have an opportunity to put our hands and our thoughts and our love on these kids. We need more. You know, I just think about how much more we can do if, you know, more people were involved. And they don't necessarily have to be involved through the NAACP, you know, there's other organizations, but we got to get more involved. That's one. Thinking about our sons. You know, I got a son that's 15 years old. And as a Black mother, my concerns is two things: his own peers and conflict resolution, and the police and racial profiling as he enters, you know, turning 16 and everything else. And a lot of times when he has his friends over, I have to, you know, wonder, because a lot of times the kids that are shooting each other, they know the person. You know, it's somebody they went to school with. It was somebody that was once their friend or whatever. And conflicts happen. And so when my son brings people over, I treat them boys like they my kids. I put love on them, and I try to inform them and educate them as much as I do my own son. So there's a respect level. They can, you know, always remember that, you know, however, you know, far they grow or wherever they end up, you know, going in their life, like, just remember that love, just remember that respect. Not to say that's going to keep anything from happening in the future. And, you know, I pray nothing ever happens, but it's a concern. And part of that is because, you know, this society is a gun culture. You know, we say the way we resolve issues is by killing, you know, from our music. And I know people like, you know, rap didn't start all of this, but rap and social media has the most impact and most influence on our youth right now. And if you notice, there are more young rappers getting shot than ever before. Like back in the day, we had our Biggie, we had our Tupac, you know, but these days, you know, almost every other month it's another rapper, and it's just almost like, do you even want to go in that lane? Like, what is going on? What is being said? Like, why you can't go to different cities without, you know, gunfire? Why is it so hostile, right? And the only really thing that concludes is just easier access to guns, the unresolved, you know, inability to resolve conflicts. Like, it's just too heightened, and this belief of being invincible, like, and no value to life. But going back to the article with the police officer, we got to remember that her perspective is going to be negative, mainly because her interaction with the public is with people that are not on their best day. It's always their worst day. So she has to also, you know, have grace and understand you're dealing with people with mental health, childhood traumas, sexual abuse, lack of motivation, lack of education, depression, you know. And so if you're seeing that day in and day out, or, you know, mostly in your occupation, your lens on a community will be flawed like that. But if she's not dealing with someone that is working on their major at a college, you know, she's dealing with people at their worst, you know. But if I'm sure she doesn't think of the youth in her own family that way, you know. I would think so. It's just like we got to be careful with our words and inquire. I can almost imagine that they had interviewed her and they just took one sliver of her sentence, of her what she said, and made that the headline. I'm pretty sure that's how that went down.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
Like I said, their interaction with the people is at their worst day. And it seems like, to me, we're always diagnosing, never really coming with a resolution on how to resolve these things. And we got to think about just all the things that come to play. So we put our kids in these correctional systems, which once they get inside there, it is like a dog-eat-dog world. You know what I mean? Gangs, you know, extortion, commissary, I mean, all of that. So it's really not correctional. It really hardens people who are already conflicted and troubled more than anything else. That's what I'm saying. Like, in some of these juvenile courts, you know, if they were thinking outside the box and doing other things and kind of really seeing people and not just seeing another court case or court number, they have an opportunity, even when they're in the courts, to change people's lives for the better. They can. But it just takes the right people. That's why when we vote, and we vote who our judicial candidates are and different ones, we really got to dig in deep on the individual, on what their motivation is to be a judge. Last thing I guess I'll say, I know I've been saying a lot. I had ran into a young man the other day while I was trying to do my Christmas shopping, right? And he was selling music CDs and like I guess a little local rapper. Now, of course, I have no problem supporting. You know, I gave him whatever I had to support, get a CD. But I told him, like, how am I supposed to listen to this? You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a CD player in my car, in my house, my computer's like, and so it's outdated. And he's like, well, you know, I do got a YouTube channel and stuff. And I'm just like, you know, trying to explain to him, like, you know, where you need to advance your marketing and what you're trying to do. And at the same time, it's just like, I appreciate the fact that he's out here trying to hustle in a legal way, you know, his music, his talents, and not trying to sell drugs. But if it was a brother, somebody that was in that industry that could have just put their arms around him and told him, like, hey, brother, you know, you need to be streaming. You're like, don't waste your money on CDs and stuff. That's kind of going out the window, whatever. He just doing whatever he can, like, to make a few bucks, to make his name noticed and everything else, but he's going about it the wrong way. You know what I mean? So that just go back to mentoring and making or what we need to do is help our youth find their purpose, teach them self-pride, and always show them love. No matter what, I'm never afraid of my people. I'm never afraid of our youth. At any opportunity, I don't care what age or whatever. Like I'm in Avondale. I walk up in the most craziest apartment buildings, so much going on. I have no worries. Maybe I shouldn't be so naive. I know anything can happen to anybody or whatever, but I don't operate in that fear, because I just feel like, this is my people. I have people here and everything else, and I'm authentic. I'm keeping it real, and and I'm always gonna come with respect and show love. And if I can reflect that to others, I expect that back in a way, I guess. I don't know, but I just think we got to start there, and it just need to be a little bit more positive, narratives in the atmosphere. And I'll be curious to hear from that officer to see how the Inquirer reported her interview, if that was really a true reflection of what she meant and how she felt at that time, or if she kind of got exploited a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But remains to see. But that's all I got, brother.
That's all I need. Thank you for the call. Yeah, I agree with you on that point. Oh, really good points. But you're right. You never know. Like, the Inquirer or any news organization sits down with someone, you don't know if that's really the way they came across in an interview or not. You're not really sure. All right. Let me take a quick pause. We'll come right back. This is the Nathan Ivey Show, where nothing is funnier than the truth, my friends. Men are allowed to be men. And of course, sucker MCs get dealt with. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Love interrupted by tragedy, lost in the drought of nightfall, running in search of the remedy, trying to find her place in it all, focused only on the negative. All she can attract is pain. Perception is what will manifest. Thought she could escape, but it's all the same. Birds fly south for the winter, but she ran to the west side. And though much was stolen, much still abides. And I know she'd rather keep her distance, but as time moves on, she's drifting away. Drifting away from me. But did the ocean breeze specify you? Did the palm trees sanctify you? I bet the ocean breeze did advise you that you'll never find you on the run from yourself, on the run from yourself. Concrete will shape to quicksand. Just when you think you're in control, at your own. But you're not alone. Take my hand. No shame in the surrender to a bigger picture. Birds fly south for the winter, but you ran to the west side. And though much was stolen, much still abides. And I know you don't wanna burn bridges, but as time moves on, you slipping away from me. But did the ocean breeze pacify you? Did the palm trees sanctify you? I bet the ocean breeze did advise you that you'll never find you on the run from yourself, on the run from yourself. You thought the grass was greener, but she was safe all along.
All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you for that time. Just a quick break. Let's get back into it. Don't forget, this Sunday, 11:45 a.m., you can tap in to the Renew Community Church live stream. Good morning to you, and welcome back. Welcome back. What time is it? 9:33 a.m. Good morning to you. We've been talking about the Cincinnati Inquirer article, Kids That Kill. Very, to say the least, provocative. Is it exploitive? Are they exploiting the situation, a really bad situation, trauma, violence, loss of life, kids that kill? I guess it's accurate. I don't know. You tell me. It's the nature of the beast, though. I mean, it's what you get in modern day media. It's what you're going to get in media, period. Let me add a few more gems that you may or may not be aware of that I want to share with you. You might remember this earlier in the year. There was a lot of conversation about this scenario. This happened. Well, this next story comes to us from Chicago, where a black woman, let me put it this way, the city of Chicago is set to pay a black woman $2.9 million after she initially rejected an offer that was less than half of that over a botched police raid. You might remember this. I remember this. It was a black woman. She was at home. The police raided her house. Okay, we talked a lot about this earlier in the year because the video was surfacing, but this actually happened back on February 21st of 2019. The police raided the Chicago home of Anjanette Young, a 50-year-old clinical social worker. Remember this? She was naked. She was didn't have any clothes on when the Chicago police invaded her own home. They were executing a search warrant. And guess what? They were at the wrong residence. I remember this because she was just beside herself. You got all these strange men, strange to her, in her house, and she's sitting there naked the whole time with her. At some point, I believe that they They placed her in custody. I'm not sure if she was in handcuffs, but she's just sitting there naked. And then one officer had the good sense to offer her her own blanket. And so she sat there with her blanket on her, telling these officers that she has no idea who she's looking for, who they were looking for, or anything like that. Remember this? Image up here on the screen for you. Check this out. This will jog a memory for you. Oh, it was so just dehumanizing. Yeah, that was the woman right there. That's her right there. Chicago police were in her home, and she was pleading with them like, "Why are you here? I live alone. There's no drugs here." Again, the war on drugs is far worse for our community than the drugs themselves. Our efforts to stop the drugs have had a far worse effect than the drugs themselves. If this country would have just legalized it, the impact would have been more greatly reduced. You wouldn't have scenarios like this. Like, how many people have either been harassed in their automobile, walking around, or in their home under the guise of the war on drugs? Right? So always talking about some damn drugs. That's her name right there. That's her right there. Anjanette is her name. Anjanette Young. And initially, she was offered less than half of the $2.9 million. She was handcuffed because that's what police do. They come on the scene. They want to handcuff everybody because they want to make sure you don't get your hands on some type of a weapon and harm one of them, which I understand, but sometimes they go too far. 13 police officers acting on a bad tip. If I remember correctly, they had an informant, and the informant basically lied to him. And guess what the tip was about? Because I said drugs earlier. It was about an illegal firearm. So 13 police officers raided this woman's house. 13 over a tip about an illegal firearm. Because firearms are bad in the hands of black folks. In the hands of white folks, it's all good. Look at Rhett Massey. He's taking Christmas photographs with his whole family. Everybody got AR-15 shotguns, and his little daughter, his youngest daughter, had a Uzi. This was a Christmas card. The officers, or 5 of the officers, were disciplined. Again, remember, she stood handcuffed and naked except for a blanket. While the officers searched her home. Apparently, she was completely naked in front of officers for about 16 seconds. Now, are you shy about your body? I mean, I don't really care about being naked in front of people. Like, if I'm naked and the cops come in here, then you're going to see it all. I ain't running around trying to do none of that. That's what you want to come see. You come see the whole show. That's what we working with over here. You know what I'm saying? But you're talking about a 50-year-old black woman. You know, a 50-year-old black woman don't want to be nude in front of a whole bunch of people like that. Some of you freaky deaky types, you love it. Oh, that's my fantasy, Nate. Change the subject. You hitting my spot. So she stood there naked for about 16 seconds in front of these strangers. You know, she was embarrassed. You know, a 50-year-old black woman ain't trying to go out like that. You know what I'm saying? You know that. And from what I understand, Anjanette Young is calling out the mayor. They got a black female mayor up in Chicago, I believe, Mayor Lori Lightfoot. And this woman, she called out the black female mayor, like, what you doing, yo? And what came from this case is that the black female mayor, she initially claimed that she didn't learn about the raid until months after it happened. But then she admitted, oops, my bad, I was aware of it, but I thought you was talking about another case. It was also revealed that in December of 2020, and matter of fact, that's when that jogs a memory. It was about a year ago we first started talking about this. That's when the reason why the body cam didn't come out initially was because they blocked it. The city of Chicago tried to block the airing of the footage. There was like an I-team sort of local news investigation, and they got the body cam and then they aired it on their nightly news segment, and that's when it really blew up. The mayor, this black female mayor, she admitted that she attempted to block the release of the footage. It just goes to show that just because you got somebody black in charge, it don't mean they really black and in charge. It don't mean they trying to serve the interests of the greater community. They just happen to be black. Now, how you gonna try to block the footage from the body cam and the taxpayers pay for all that equipment? You're paying for all that equipment. Let me go to the phones real quick. Get more of your thoughts in. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Hold on one second, man. I think I got you disconnected for some reason. Hold on one second. I think we got Brother Fame on the line. Hold on wait a second here. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, how you doing, guy?
Good morning.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Yeah, that Inquirer series, it kind of personally touched me a little bit on Monday because they had the little picture of the dead boy in the casket at the funeral, and I know the people involved in that. Not the actual murder, but I know the boy's biological parents and his adoptive parents. And I was kind of disgusted at the adoptive parents for allowing him to be photographed like that. I mean, I understand the Emmett Till thing and situation, but there was a little bit, that was different. That was his biological parents. You're his adoptive parent. And, he's a biracial boy and you're a white couple. I had a little problem with that. I really did. But then somebody talked me off the cliff, somebody who I trust and respect, he, kind of talked me off the cliff. And I realized, maybe it ain't nothing. Maybe this is just in some kind of weird way will reflect things to our community the way they should be. It's just really bad that these kids are out here killing each other like this. Don't we got like the most kids in the state on that have been bound over for murder currently?
I believe so.
Yeah, I mean that's not a good stat that's not a stat to be proud of. And when kids are whacking each other like this, I mean, you can't help but, I mean, TNT finally came out of that black hole she was being sucked into by the NAACP, and I thought she was dead right. It's time to quit acting like rap music doesn't play a part in all this. It's time to quit that false narrative. Rap music is partly responsible for a lot of this. 9 out of 10 rappers, and I know there's other rap that you can listen to, but you turn on the radio, 9 out of 10 rappers have killed somebody in their song or shot a gun, did something just very violent in their songs. Even the radio friendly song. 50 Cent killed 10 people. 50 Cent killed 50 million people on his first album. But it was still like the hottest selling record for the decade, wasn't it? Or close to it. It was up there. So, but yeah, like I said, I had a real problem with that. But the officer's choice of the word "ours" is like, yeah, I don't know if it's explained in the article, but I thought the writer owed that to the audience to say what she meant. You mean our kids, the black community, or our kids, Hamilton County, Cincinnati? Be more specific, hon. What are you talking about? Because if you're talking about our kids, the black community, now you're starting to sound like tasing officer. You don't get to really speak for all of us like that. But then again, if that light, why are you scared to have things reflected on you? You see what I'm saying? I'm trying to say here.
I believe so.
Yes. So, I understand you all's concern about the article. However, sometimes you got to take a good, hard, and sometimes it's painful look at yourself and realize you're the problem. It's not that hard to stay out of the police way. And 17, I mean, these kids are young too, middle schoolers with guns. Like, what the hell? I mean, hell, there were kids when we were. I mean, I know it's different times, technology and whatnot. Hell, the kid who had a pair of nunchucks, we didn't hang with him when we were kids. It was like, why do you need that? What are you about to do? Or what are you expecting to come at you? You understand? So I don't know, man. That gun stuff is kind of touchy. It's okay to look at yourself on that one. That old tired argument. The gun manufacturers don't live in our neighborhoods, and neither do the damn cough syrup manufacturers. But we always got cough syrup in the hood, and I don't mean like that lean. I'm talking about real live Robitussin to suppress the cough. We always find a way to get something what we need. So I don't want to hear that weak ass argument that the gun manufacturers ain't in the black neighborhoods and all that. That's tired. That's signifying monkey stuff. So, and also shout out to John from Princeton or Florida. I heard his call. Sound like he said the same thing about Steph Curry that I said. We enjoyed we enjoyed watching the ascent to greatness in real time, and that's why we love him. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not mistaken, is that not what he said? He did. Didn't he kind of reiterate that?
In his own way, kinda.
Yeah. You just don't want to say yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem agreeing with you, brother. If it's time for me to agree with you, but he kind of said something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you don't have a problem with, it's kind of like trying to make a rock bleed, trying to get you to admit you was wrong, but it's okay. Yeah, because there was something else that he said too. But anyway, I need to start writing this stuff down. But listen, it's all good. It's been real, man. I would rather meet Steph Curry than Bell Hooks, honestly. I don't know where the hell you were coming from with that. I mean, that's your personal choice. I get it. But me personally, I don't have a problem with the kinesthetic learner. And me at my age having a heart condition, I want to know ways I can exercises I could do to help prove my heart if I can. For good cardio health. He's going to give you good cardio tips. He's going to give you good dietary tips. I'm not so interested in the shooting tip. I don't hoop like that no more. But I would rather talk to Steph Curry. I have aunts and everything, that'll give me what she's going to give me. I just thought that was an interesting, little dig you tried to take at people who like sports. But that's cool.
I mean, that's just how you took it personally, man. I know you're a very sensitive man.
I took it very personal.
Yeah, I could tell. That's part of who you are, though, man. So don't change for nobody. But I just think more it was commentary about our culture, how we elevate the trivial. We elevate the trivial.
How was it? Okay, I mean, I don't understand what's trivial about setting an all-time mark like that in a 75-year-old league.
Yeah, I just don't understand how that's that important. Like in the overall grander scheme in American culture, he eclipsed Ray Allen, right? Big deal.
Right.
I just feel like whatever that
what do you and your
contribution
son go to the
was,
park and
if
do?
we really looked at it and we really looked at it the way we supposed to, I just feel like Bell Hooks may have contributed more to our culture if we thought right, but we don't think right in our culture.
She might have. I don't know. She might have. I'm familiar with who she is. I'm familiar with who she is, but I mean that's all speculation and up to you, whatever you consider a contribution.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people on your show who have left 500 comments since July 1st, and 96% of them are insults.
Are you talking about yourself?
You consider that person a show contributor?
Are you talking about yourself? That sounds like you.
Good goddamn well I don't do that. Don't come on. Why we gotta get insulted?
That's exactly what you do. You just described
I'm just
yourself.
talking to you. I'm just talking to you, and you want to get personal.
I'm not getting personal, bro. I'm just being real with my brother. Come on now.
You said I'm talking. You said you must be talking about yourself. No, I'm talking about Nikki Carter.
You do a lot of insults in the
gonna
chop
let her
shops.
have it. I'm gonna let her have it
If you left
tomorrow.
500 messages in the chop shop, I would say at least 350 of them, if not 400 of them, are insults.
It's a goddamn lie.
It's not a goddamn lie. It's the goddamn truth, man. You need to be more self-aware. But we getting away from the conversation.
Yeah, we are, because that's clearly a lie.
Yeah, Michael Jackson said, "Look at the man in the mirror."
Nikki
you should
Carter,
do that more.
Today's show is too solemn to really get into you, but tomorrow you getting this work, Touch.
I look forward to it. I need some rec.
Not you, her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah, that's all I got, B. It's been real. Had fun. Talk again very soon.
All right, brother.
Oh!
There it is. There's a little howl. And he's talking about his damn self. Talking about gosh darn it. That man is not self-aware. But I appreciate the flows nonetheless. Yeah, everybody's different. Everybody's different. You got the right to have your own thoughts. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Nathan.
Hey, what's up, Mace? Good morning.
Here we go again with our children. Why is it that everything that's bad has got to be looking at us all the time, and then we take it and we know we have children out there that has problems, and we have families out there just like since the kid went and shot up the school, and his parents was a part of it. They knew he had a gun and all of this, so they want to wave and look and make. It's like they want to make every black child in a community a bad person. All the kids in the community are not bad, but they don't never have a conversation. And then the ones that get their record expunged, that did the same thing that you looking at them black kids do. They get their record expunged, and they don't never hear anything about it until maybe they do a drastic thing. So if you're just looking at your city, not going around looking at everybody else's and see what's going on, you'll see a whole lot of crime being made by people that don't look like us. And the abortion thing is the same way. I'm saying like that. More black women get an abortion than anybody. And I'm looking at, so when the Supreme Court was trying to come up with their decision, I'm like, if that's the case, why are no black women up there like bumblebees and bees and stuff all over the place? It's just like the welfare queen used to be. More black women on welfare until Newt Gingrich told them that it was. So sometime, and then we look at the crack epidemic. And then we look at the opioid epidemic now. They went to jail. How many people you know going to jail with this opioid epidemic? They want to give them shots and everything to save them, not put them in jail and do the same thing. So sometimes you have to sit back and watch what they're trying to do to make your psyche up here thinking that only kids are bad or black. But all the kids are bad and doing things in all communities that's not respectful. But you only get to look at the black ones, and then you have some of us taking it in, not looking, and just looking at. Go look at The Wonderful Whites of West Virginia documentary, and you'll be so shocked to see the same thing that go on in Cincinnati is going on there. But the news won't come and put it in front of the faces for people to see. So they just get a group of people, like a panel, and just have not just one group of people discussing what the other group of people look like, with all of them doing the same thing, and see what's the problem. Because some of them came up on Ritalin that was put in, given to the kids through the school system. That messed them up. And half of them weren't doctors that was recommending that the children was put on Ritalin. So we have to look at some of the things that were given to the kids, all kids, not just black kids, all kids. The Mexican, the Chinese, and all of them, they go commit crimes against their own communities, but we don't hear about it. Even the news does not talk about nobody except the black community and the black kids. So until we focus on all kids doing it, you can get robbed, and I got only be about a black kid. It can be robbed by anybody, or you can be driving through one of these little hick towns and get harmed. But that conversation will never happen. So when we get on a pity party about looking at us and what we need to do and what we're looking at it, but it's all around us and everywhere. In every walk of we could be in a school and get shot up, going to see about our kids, and why one of those in there shooting up the school. But it's all about that family that was part of that boy, had that gun, and they knew it, and they bought it for him. And then the other one that they let off, they shot the two people, they let him off, and then they wanted to make a hero out of him. And then when it comes to the rappers, rap don't have nothing to do with what these kids are doing. Because look at the one that's making this Christmas commercial. They want to see, because you can look at some of those rappers and some of the things that they did. They should be back in the community making sure that somebody else don't follow that same road. Because it's just like a code that they have. And some people don't even know nothing about these rappers. They just came up with a famous song, and they got steps that they got to go to get there. They don't just become famous overnight. And you have to look at the behind scene of the people that they're with. You only see one group of people, but it's some more people. It's a whole line. And in other places, you got people way sitting up high with their children doing the same thing that the black kids are doing, but they're not even going to jail. So just take a look around, and I'm glad Facebook can give us some news better than our evening news that we see on TV every day, and it's not hard to find. And see some of the things everybody's going to wonder why this country is not doing something to make a change for all of it, not just one group of children or not one group of people. Because when it comes to jobs, where we at the bottom? When it comes to anything, we at the bottom. That they tell us. Sometimes you got to question those people that's telling you things like that, to ask them questions about where they coming from and what is your community doing and why are you getting a sponge and mine is not. So with that, you have a great day.
You too. Thank you for the call. That's Maze, back to back. I appreciate it, man. We're getting blessed with flows this morning. I'll take them. 513-873-7134. We had callers who said it was the rap music. May says it's not the rap music. Which is it? I don't think it's the music. It might be the culture. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, my daughter is 16 years old and she is not on social media at all. You know why? Because she ain't 18 yet. I just don't feel like she's ready for it. Now, what she does after 18, that's on her. But between then and there, we control all of that. Sister Iris writes, white kids don't kill dozens at a time. Yes, they do. Like I said, you already know, though, we overanalyze the black family, but we never ask the question, what's up with the white family? We rarely do, except on this show. We ask that question all the time. But mainstream media, they don't do that. CNN got all these credit, man. 10, 12 years ago, they did this series called Black in America. Some of y'all might remember my flows. That it was right after, it was when it was going on. Everybody was talking about Black in America. But my question was, where is white in America? You can never talk about the conditions of Black Americans without first analyzing the conditions of white America. It's a symbiotic relationship. You can't discuss one without the other, but we're far more comfortable discussing, even if in perception, the activities and behavior of black people. We're so used to discussing the behavior of black folks. We are lesser, used to and accustomed to getting deep dives into the behaviors of white people. It's just what it is. It's always been that way. Now, does that negate the issues? And if there's real issues here, yeah, there are real issues. But we got to have we got to do stuff with intentionality. I was talking with somebody recently, somebody whose opinion I respect. I think he's a very smart guy. And I was like, you know what? I can see a certain vision for Cincinnati. And he said, that can happen, but it's got to happen with intentionality. It's the same thing as it relates to crime being committed by minors, right? Another way of saying kids that kill. Is that if we're really serious about this, then we have to attack it with some intentionality and put the money in an enduring effort. It'll be a decade or two, and maybe we can create something different here in the city of Cincinnati and in Hamilton County. So, Sister Iris writes, the Inquirer is horrible. Yeah, that last article that they wrote with Dan Horn, who's not my favorite Cincinnati Inquirer or columnist at all. It conjures up a lot of questions as to, okay, so how are people going to perceive this? Jericho writes, having a gun isn't the issue. It's not teaching gun safety. That's the problem. That's right. I know there's a brother. What's the brother's name? Oh my gosh. I just seen the brother the other day, and he's really serious about teaching gun safety for children. He is 100% right about that. Teaching our young people how to use guns, being familiar with them, what's the right way to store a gun, how to use a gun. It's just another tool. I mean, we got our babies using knives at Thanksgiving, carving a turkey. They're doing all kind of dangerous stuff. Let's teach them the same. I'm telling my children gonna know. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you, they're about that time. I've been waiting for medium Buddha to get a little bit older. I'm taking her straight to the gun range. My son, I'm taking them straight to the gun range. They'll know how to operate guns. They'll know how to store a gun safety. They'll know how to load a gun. They'll know how to tell if a gun is loaded or not. And they'll know the laws in Ohio in which they can carry it and how to interact with law enforcement. They're going to learn all that from daddy. You know what I'm saying? Nakia writes, crazy, crazy, crazy. Ebony Taylor writes, this ain't Mayberry. America was built on gun running, drug smuggling, slavery. America was built on crime. I mean, let's call it what it is. America was built on crime. Okay. That sums it all up, Ebony. And I think you may agree with me. I can't speak for you, but you may agree with me. The way I look at it, this country, whatever the virtues that we like to espouse and all that shit, that's just revisionist history. This country was built on crime. The number one crime was the crimes it committed against the native people and the enslavement of melanated people in this country. That was a crime, right? That built this country, right? America was built on crime. Las Vegas was built on crime, right? Some of the biggest cities in America was built on crime. It's that dope. And it continues to be built on crime in a lot of different ways. I mean, the fight against crime, the scourge of drugs continues to make us put more money in our police departments. You've got politicians that create whole political careers running against and fighting against what? Crime, right? What we do? We need crime. What would we do without crime? I mean, some of the greatest movies are crime stories. Hollywood was built on crime and storytelling about crime. I mean, come on, man. Let's keep it real. And then we want to get all brand new and ask ourselves, why are they doing this? Everybody else is doing this. We love a gangster story, rags to riches. That's why Scarface is so impactful. He came from nothing, from the mud, as they say, from the dirt, built himself up using what? Crime. It was glamorous. Beautiful women, fast cars, the best food, the best clothes. Who don't want the best? Who don't want to live good? If I got to smash somebody to get it, then they got to get smashed. You know what I'm saying? Might makes right. Look at this country's U.S. foreign policy. Look at Iraq. Look at the way that we project our power across the globe. Do we go and ask people? Do we say, hey, Saddam, could you please listen? Could you be nice? No, we dropped the military off, put boots on the ground. They never found any weapons of mass destruction, by the way, because it was just a lie. Just a lie. A lot of people got killed. A lot of people got paid. I didn't get any money off of the war in Iraq. I wish I did. Shit, send me a six-figure check for my spoils of war, but that's not how that works. Irish writes, and then they pile on about our children are more horrible than a horrible society they live in. Right. They're a reflection of society. Yeah, my issue is with the hour, and see, this is just smart media people. A homicide detective speaks. Our kids are the scariest criminals. And who was it? I think it was TNT. She made an excellent point. I would love to speak with this detective to see if the way this article came out is the way that she thought it was going to come out. Did she think they were going to lead with her statement, our kids? I thought that Fame made another excellent point when he asked the question, when you say our, do you mean our as in Hamilton County? Or do you mean our as in black? Because when you got a black female saying that, who grew up in some of these primarily black neighborhoods, she grew up in English Woods, then the perception is that when she says our children, that she's talking about black kids. And the fuck if that's true? That could never be true in Hamilton. I live in Cincinnati. That could never be true. Black kids are not the scariest criminals in this county at all. Nowhere near it. How could it be? Or maybe they mean Hamilton County. But even then, I agree with Fame said that the author, the columnist, the writer owes us, the readers, the viewers, the readers, an explanation as to what you would actually mean. Because as TNT said, as I'm jumping around and make points off of the other points that people made, is that some people will read this, it's going to scare the bejesus out of them. You know, there's some good white folks, some of them same good white female Democrats that voted for Joe Dieters because they thought that Fanon Rucker was a scary black man. Them folks, they're going to read this and be like, oh, Lord. Did you read this? Oh, Lordy, 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 Lordy. So glad we got Joe in office. He'll keep us safe. I'm a bad boy. I know. Poison Ivy. Lannis writes, good morning, brother Nathan Ivey. Good morning to you, Lannis. Nate writes, there's an proven correlation between gun ownership and firearm homicide rates. Brent writes, I am tired of all of these I told you so folks when it comes to Steph Curry. What do you mean I told you so? Who do you told you so folks when it comes to Steph Curry? I have no problems with Steph Curry. Steph Curry is cool with me. One last thing before we roll, I'm reading that Serena and Venus Williams' half-sister. They have a half-sister. Her name is Sabrina Williams. She was the daughter of a woman who was married to Richard Williams before he married Serena and Williams' mother, Venus and Serena's mother. Apparently, he had a bunch of kids with this woman, and then he left when she was 8 years old. She is writing her own book about the life of Richard Williams. And she's very upset with Will Smith because here he is a part of this movie and you glorifying this man that abandoned me. And apparently she's got a whole bunch of issues she's been dealing with because being abandoned as a child is never a good thing. And she says she should have the book written by next year. I'm here for the book. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. She got every right in the world to write a book about her experiences. Damn it, she should have wrote this book a long time ago. But it's like she waited until somebody did this story on her father. Like, could you imagine? That's got to be a terrible feeling for her, though. Let's just think about it for a second. That's got to be terrible. Your father is being celebrated as this big-time daddy because he took care of Venus and Serena, but he abandoned you. That's got to be up. I mean, just think about though. Imagine if your father did that to you. He left you and your mom struggling. Y'all on welfare for the rest of your life until you become an adult, living in poverty, father not there, and everything that comes with the dad not being there. Meanwhile, your father goes on, right, to be a father of two of the greatest female athletes, and we'll just say athletes of all time. He got big time stars like Will Smith portraying him, right? You know, making your father a very sympathetic figure, but also a figure to be celebrated. And he abandoned you. I'd be pissed as a motherfucker too. I'd be pissed the fuck off if that was my dad. She got every reason to be, upset about that. I'd love to see the story. Now, can she get somebody to play Richard? Who's gonna play her father in her story? I don't know. That might be a tough act to follow. And let's say if King Richard actually wins, like maybe sis got a point. I don't know. This might be a whole show topic. Maybe we'll pick it up tomorrow. But just think about for a second. Just think about if you were her, and we don't know the circumstances. Maybe Richard left her mother because he had valid reasons. But it doesn't mean he had a valid reason to leave her. But you never know the story. Maybe mom's was preventing him from seeing her, or maybe he just decided, you know what? I ain't with your mom. I'm done with all of y'all on some deadbeat dad type ish. He goes on to father two more kids and shepherd them into greatness. And you just in the shadows. You ain't getting none of the money. You ain't getting none of the love. And you lightweight hate this man because he's all of that for them, but he was never that for you. That's tough right there. That's a tough one right there. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
What's up, King Nate?
What up, man?
And the Mighty Choppers.
What up, man?
Big Kush on the check-in.
Man,
what's happening, brother?
It's good to hear from you. It's a long time, man.
Yes, sir. Man, I've been out here running, man, trying to keep it going. You know, everything is good. But listen, man, I saw the most wildest shootout in front of my house in Evanston. I don't know what was going on with Evanston in downtown, but the thing about the youth, where are they getting these military assault weapons from? This youth opened up on this other youth, man, and it was wild. It was so loud. The guns, I don't know what kind of guns these guys got, but it's crazy, man. Right in front of me.
Wow. Was
So
anybody
that's my thing.
injured? Anybody shot? Or, I mean, what happened?
Man, yeah, the boy died in his mother's arms.
Oh man.
The little youth ran. He ran for his life, brother. He ran for everything he had. And he had to be almost a damn football field away. He gets out of the car in a drive-by. Points out, get out of the car, open fires. Usually I'm in the car, listening to music, writing, you know. The dude is spraying, what they say, spraying and praying, because he hitting cars, busting out windows, hitting houses with this is how far, he's damn near 100 yards, man, away. A good football field, man, when he get out. He hits the little boy as he's running. I'm saying if he had a gun in his hand, it would have been hard to deal with. I don't know. It made me reevaluate this whole gun thing.
In what way?
You know what I'm saying? Well, I would feel defenseless. And I don't like feeling defenseless. The military assault weapons these little young guys got, it's no accident. Babylon give them a toy. Babylon cowboy. These guys, man, we on a whole nother level out here. We can play. Yeah, our youth, we got problems. But where are they getting these style? Where are they getting these military grade guns from? On the ready. And dude was bold. And remember, if you remember, it was a shootout the day before on Montgomery. Same car. Same car. And you know, we close to the highway. So you see the cops. They come late. Shot spotter. Yeah, right. Helicopters. Dude got away. So I don't know, man. They say spraying and praying. You still with me, brother?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. The saddest thing I ever saw. The mother comes out. People crying. This is right in front of my face. I usually hit the ground when I hear gunshots, right? But he shot for so long, my dumb ass went to the window and looked. Who the hell is this? John Wayne out this motherfucker? John Wayne didn't have this kind of shit. You hear what I'm saying? But yeah, man, we gotta teach the truth to the youth. We can't give up on them. It's bigger than the rap music too. The music got a lot to do with it, the mentality. But the easy access to these assault weapons, I ain't talking about little gun 38 and shit. I'm talking about they got some shit out here, bro. Yep, that's it, brother. But it's good to hear from you, man.
You too, man.
You stay strong, bro. Keep up the encouragement, man.
Most definitely.
Keep doing your thing, bro. I love you.
Most best.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Peace
Kush
to the
right there.
choppers.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate it. That's Kush right there. And one of my patrons. I appreciate all the support, brother. Damn, man. Wow. You saw all of that? That's terrible. Terrible, man. Just eats you up, don't it? Listen, I want you to have a great rest of your day. I plan to be back with you bright and early tomorrow morning. We'll chop it up on everything going on, people, politics, and pleasure. Okay? Have an excellent rest of your day. Don't forget to tap in on Sunday, but I'll be back tomorrow to talk more about it. You can check out this live stream this Sunday from our friends at Renew Community Church. You can find them on Facebook at Cincy Renew and on YouTube at Renew Community Church live stream this Sunday at 11:45 a.m. Tap into the topic. You only have a 30% chance of success in 22. That's not good. Learn how you can win, succeed, and turn your life around by 95% in 2022. That's coming up this Sunday. Have an excellent rest of your day, fam. Remember our motto: winners focus on winning, losers focus on winners. Stay focused, stay winning, and we'll talk real soon. Until next time, I'm Nate Ivey, and I'm out.
Yeah. Talking to my mirror like I love you so much. Curving on my critics like I heard you, so what? You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tally all the I ever gave on my head. Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss. They ain't wanna help me, that's what made me a boss. You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. We don't give a that's what they don't understand. I'm back again like flu season. I broke records while loose leafing. I'm coming down my roof, leaving. Don't give a I don't care. Did the for my lonesome. No wonder now I'm on one. No shortcuts on that long run. All I really want is my share. Get on my God, on my totem is nothing. In the discussion, for them feelings I throw all my pain on percussion. The disgusting. I hear them bragging about that they did, and it do not move me, not in the least. They ain't been dropping no seeds in the soil, but swear that you almost spotted the feast. I've been on go mode, showboat, rowboat, wave ride. Cool shorty, too naughty, pool party, wet for the face ride. Annie up, penny down, hand me down, thrift store, old drip. New money, too funny, old shorty, talk about old. I'm on they now, can't get a pass now. I'm a cash cow, keeping it brash now. It's trash now, I'm a spaz out.